for joining us today. It is a privilege to be here today for this historic announcement. We're joined by several partners today. I think that is indicative of the amount of work and partnership that went into making this day possible. I want to thank and acknowledge Baltimore County Police Chief Rob McCullough, Deputy Administrative Officer Rebecca Young, Baltimore County Police Captain Brian Edwards, GBMC President and CEO Dr. John Chassar and his team from GBMC, State Senator Shelley Heddleman, Deputy Baltimore County State's Attorney John Cox. We have members of the County Council, both Chairman Julian Jones and Councilman Izzy Patoka with us today. We're also joined by Senator Chris West and Delegate Rick Metzger. Captures our elected officials. I want to also thank Justice Sischler, who is the Director of Programs and Grants for the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention, Youth and Victim Services, as well as Nancy Hackerman and our partners at the Hackerman Foundation, Amanda Rodriguez, who is the Executive Director of Turnaround, and many, many others here today. Every resident of Baltimore County deserves to feel safe in their community. An important part of that safety is ensuring that our police department has the tools and resources they need to analyze evidence and bring justice, especially in the case of sexual assault. To make sure our officers were able to do this, our administration announced the formation of the Sexual Assault Investigations Task Force shortly after we entered office. This was a diverse group of experts who reviewed our county's sexual assault investigation policies, studied best practices, and strategized new and innovative ways to make our community safer. Thanks to the recommendations of this task force, our police now have a greater capacity to test safe kits, as well as the creation of a dedicated cold case investigation squad within the police department's Special Victims Unit. In addition, we were proud to announce a $300,000 grant through the Hackerman Foundation to support new cold case sexual assault investigations and provide critical services for staffing and training to support future investigations. This is a key resource for these investigations, and we want to thank the Hackerman Foundation for your generosity and your commitment to this project and our residents. We also want to recognize that a key resource for these investigations is the forensic evidence that was preserved on slides by the physicians at GBMC. During the 1970s, GBMC emergency room physician, Dr. Rudiger Breitnecker, recognized the value in preserving this evidence from sexual assault survivors for study and use in investigations. Thanks to the efforts of Dr. Breitnecker, he was able to preserve evidence of more than 2,000 sexual assaults on microscope slides. These slides have not only been maintained at GBMC, but have also proven viable for DNA testing, which has since led to the conviction of several offenders for decades-old crimes, some as recently as this year. Back in August, Baltimore County detectives were able to utilize forensic evidence collected through the GBMC Slide Project to arrest an offender for crimes committed more than 3 decades ago. These advances have helped Baltimore County make significant progress towards becoming that safer community we know we are. But we know that our partners recognize that we had to do more, and we must do more to ensure that justice is delivered and that survivors can receive closure. Thanks to the leadership of individuals like State Senator Shelley Heddleman and other leaders in the General Assembly, the state of Maryland updated the definition of a safe kit to include the GBMC slides, creating new legal pathways to allow our county to comprehensively obtain and test these slides. Because of this new law, Baltimore County is now able to transfer all of our remaining cases and slides from GBMC to our police department, significantly enhancing our ability to test these samples and ensure that justice is delivered. In addition, Baltimore County is entering into an expanded partnership with our partners at Bodie Technology, who have agreed to accept and test these slides in much higher volumes. As a result of these combined efforts, Baltimore County will soon be able to test all of the approximately 1,400 remaining GBMC slide cases by the end of 2024, years ahead of what we previously thought was possible. We're proud to announce that this work is being supported by more than $2 million of new funding, including a $1.5 million grant from the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention, Youth and Victim Services, a generous grant of up to $500,000 from the Hackerman Foundation in partnership with the Season of Justice nonprofit organization. This award is on top of the previous $300,000 grant from the Hackerman Foundation, as well as a combination of Baltimore County general funds and up to $500,000 of ARPA funding. We recognize that today is by no means the end of our work, but this is a critical step forward, and it reaffirms our commitment to continue seeking justice. Thank you again to all of our partners and their critical support on this project. Moments like these reinforce how government and community partners can and should come together to make progress. Our work to expedite and test these slides is both about supporting our survivors and aiming to deliver justice. Again, every Baltimore County resident deserves to feel safe in their community, and our landmark commitment today brings us another step closer to that ideal. Thanks to our partners for your support. Thank you to our leaders for your dedication. Thank you to the officers, the physicians, and the specialists who have made this day possible. At this time, I'd like to welcome Police Chief Robert McCullough to introduce a few words, followed by other speakers.
Good morning. We hope that today's announcement helps restore confidence in the commitment of the Baltimore County Police Department to seeking justice on behalf of victims of sexual assault. We deliver on that commitment every day by identifying those responsible and holding them accountable. Our hope is the individuals revealed by testing will be proven responsible for the crimes for which they are charged using evidence collected from the GBMC Slide Project. People who commit sexual assault violate a person's body and sense of safety. To victims of sexual assault, you did not deserve what happened to you. We hope this is another step in your healing process and can help reclaim what was stolen from you. I want to assure you, our commitment is strong no matter how long ago your assault happened. Back in August, a detective with our Special Victims Unit Cold Case Squad arrested 70-year-old James Shipe Sr. Evidence from the GBMC Slide Project helped that detective connect Shipe to a series of sexual assaults dating back to 1978. Shipe is right now awaiting trial on a number of charges related to those assaults. County Executive Johnny Olszewski has long made it clear, solving the GBMC Slide Project cases is a priority. This is also a priority for me as Chief of Police and for the dedicated members of our police department. In July, I appointed Captain Brian Edwards, here to my left, as the special lead on the GBMC Slide Project. With Captain Edwards working out of my office, we have made much progress. And Brian, I want to take this time to specially thank you publicly for all the hard work that you've done working with all our partners here today. You really have done a phenomenal job. We appreciate it. I am pleased to announce that thanks to the diligent work of the sworn and professional staff members of the Baltimore County Police Department, we will have transferred 500 cases from GBMC to the police department in just the past month. We are sending them to a third-party lab for testing, bringing us another step closer to closing these unsolved cases. By December 2024, the department expects to have all GBMC slides tested. Thank you, Captain Edwards. Thank you to the detectives, past and present, who have spent countless hours on investigating these cases. Your dedication and commitment are commendable. To the other stakeholders standing here with me today, Without your support, we would have not made so much progress on these cases in the recent weeks, months, and years. And we truly appreciate everything that every last one of you have done to support us in this project. Once again, thank you. I'd like to next introduce Deputy County Administrative Officer Rebecca Young.
Good morning. I'm so grateful to be joined by so many of our partners and leaders who have made this moment possible. This is a major step forward for Baltimore County. I'd like to say thank you to County Executive Johnny Olszewski, Police Chief Robert McCullough, Captain Brian Edwards, GBMC President and CEO Dr. Cheshire, Nancy Hackerman of the Hackerman Foundation, Senator Hedelman, members of County Council, and all of our other partners and elected leaders in attendance. As the County Executive said, this announcement shows what can be accomplished when we all come together for a shared goal, delivering justice and closure to sexual assault victims. We are able to make this announcement today because of the County Executive's commitment to getting this project funded and completed as quickly as possible. This remarkable effort, started by Dr. Breitnecker, has made it possible to hold offenders accountable for crimes committed decades ago and to give closure to victims of sexual assault. I want to thank and commend our Baltimore County Police Department, and specifically Captain Brian Edwards, for being an integral part of this work. Captain Edwards has been a tireless advocate and a critical partner in pushing for progress on this project, and in turn, pushing for justice and peace of mind for survivors. Thank you to Chief McCullough for your commitment to this work and for dedicating the internal resources and support necessary. I would also like to recognize the Hackerman Foundation's generous donation, which will be provided in partnership with the nonprofit Season of Justice through the newly created Bright Light Justice Fund, named in honor of Dr. Breitnecker and his efforts. More information about this new fund is available at seasonofjustice.org. This is an example of how private philanthropy can be a catalyst for change. This work will not be completed overnight, but today is a vital step forward and a sign of what is possible when we can come together to solve an issue and to hopefully find justice for victims. Thank you to all of our partners and leaders for helping move this work forward. I would like to turn it over at this time to Dr. Cheshire.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. County Executive, Senator Hedelman, and our partners in law enforcement, I'm both honored and humbled to be here with you today, not just as the President and CEO of GBMC Healthcare, but also as a fellow advocate for survivors of sexual assault. Today's announcement signifies the next step forward in finding justice for victims. When Dr. Rudiger Breitnecker arrived at GBMC, he saw beyond the present. With his experience as an assistant state medical examiner, he understood the profound potential of DNA before it became a cornerstone of forensic investigations. Just as importantly, Dr. Breitnecker also knew how critical it is to treat all people with compassion and dignity. He was disturbed by the way rape victims were treated, often waiting hours for medical attention, and the absence of standardized rape kits. Dr. Breitnecker took matters into his own hands. In 1975, he established the Rape Care Center at GBMC, the precursor of today what is known as GBMC's SAFE, Sexual Assault Forensic Examination and Domestic Violence Program. Here, he trained physicians on how to conduct thorough yet compassionate exams and preserve the vital evidence that could bring perpetrators to justice. Dr. Breitnecker saved forensic evidence because it was the right thing to do. We keep his example in mind at GBMC as we make sure our safe and domestic violence program is available 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year to treat victims of sexual assault, intimate partner violence, human trafficking, and non-fatal strangulation. GBMC is immensely proud to have been part of this journey, and we remain steadfast in our commitment to aiding survivors and ensuring justice. The transfer of slides to the Baltimore County Police is not just a testament to our ongoing partnership, but also a significant step forward in testing and closing cases related to sexual assault. As institutions, we are united on a mission to ensure the horrors of the past are confronted with our dedication and commitment. Thank you all very much for being here today. And now let me turn it over to Senator Hedelman.
Thank you very much. Today is a good day for the roughly 1,400 individuals who were victims of sexual assault in the 1970s and 1980s and sought care at GBMC. Today is the public acknowledgement, after decades, that the DNA collected from sexual assault survivors before there was such a thing as a rape kit by Dr. Rudy Breitnecker wasn't a meaningless effort, and that they will be examined. Today is the day that our government and a very generous member of our community have made the commitment of financial resources to prioritize the testing of these slides. It's the day that we say to those hundreds of victims that what happened to them matters, that we see them, that we want to do the work, do the investigations, and do the prosecutions to hold their rapists and their assaulters accountable for their crimes. And that work won't be easy, and it won't be fully accomplished by our efforts today. Today marks critical steps along that path. It's the beginning, the transfer, the protection, and the testing. And I hope that we can all commit to the next steps, the hard work and the resources that it will take to dig into what we learn from the testing that will require investigations, coordination, survivor support, and prosecutions. These are all critical elements on this journey that we all hope will solve crimes. I want to thank my House colleague from Anne Arundel County, Delegate Sandy Bartlett, who cross-filed this bill with me last General Assembly session that required the GBMC slides to be treated like rape kits. And my colleagues, some of whom are here today, a bipartisan group that passed the bill, and Governor Moore, who signed it into law. I want to thank the county executive for prioritizing this issue, for being accessible and willing to listen to our frustrations over the years about these issues. Thank you to Chief McCullough for making this a priority from the first day I met him, the day that he was sworn into office. He mentioned this issue to me. Thank you to the professionals at GBMC who took care of this evidence and preserved and protected it for so long. What public servants you all are. Thank you to retired Sergeant Rose Brady and Jeff Ray, who spent countless hours trying to connect the dots and investigated crimes using evidence collected on the slides. Many thanks to those who support survivors, representative from organizations like Turnaround and MCASA, and our state partner in GOCAP. Thank you, like so many have said before me, to Captain Brian Edwards, who has worked tirelessly on this issue and devoted extraordinary time and energy, and the myriad other issues related to sexual assault that come before the Sexual Assault Evidence Kit Policy and Funding Committee of the Attorney General's Office, where we serve, together with State's Attorney Scott Schellenberger, who has also devoted care and attention to the chain of custody issues around the transfers of these slides, as well as the enormous effort of prosecuting these cases. Thank you. And thank you to my constituent, Nancy Hackerman, who asked a couple of years ago whether there was anything she could do and was willing to dedicate her resources to supplement the public ones to support survivors, training of law enforcement, equipment, and investigations, and she continues this support today. Two last thank yous to the many, many survivors who have shared their stories, their frustrations, and their experiences. Thank you for your courage, often at great personal expense, and willingness to share your experiences so that others might not have the same devastating experience. And finally, we wouldn't be here today if it weren't for Dr. Rudy Breitnecker. I never had the opportunity to meet this pioneer, but I have to believe that somewhere up in heaven, he's smiling down on this and agreeing with how I began today. Today is a good day for his patients. I'd like to introduce Deputy State's Attorney John Cox.
Thank you, Senator. As it was just stated, I'm John Cox. I'm Deputy State's Attorney for Baltimore County. I want to first explain the lack of presence of Scott Schellenberger, and he gave me the permission to say this, so it's not a HIPAA violation. He's at GBMC right now, recovering from knee replacement surgery this morning. So he had, I think a valid excuse was scheduled before this press conference was scheduled. I know he really wanted to be here. He's been very active and personally active in achieving what we've been able to achieve and what we will continue to achieve in the testing of these slides, and to try to achieve justice. One person that wasn't mentioned, and she just got away, the chair of the Sexual Assault Task Force that the county executive appointed was just standing right over there, and I don't know where she went. Oh, she's now hiding. There she is. A very important leader. I was a member of that task force, and she did an excellent job and did a great work for the county executive and for this county, and I want to express my appreciation to her. As on behalf of the state's attorney's office, I just want to say that we've been faced with an unfortunate reality of restrictions on both time and resources to be able to try to achieve this part of justice for victims of sexual assault. This announcement today and the efforts of everybody behind me are going to achieve and provide a significant amount of greater resources and time in order to attempt to achieve justice for victims of sexual assault during the time of the actions of Dr. Breitnecker. I knew Dr. Breitnecker. I had him on the stand as a witness on a number of occasions. And I can tell you, Senator Hedelman, it'll be a very wry smile with a heavy accent if he's smiling down upon us and having anything to say right now. But I want to express our great appreciation to Dr. Breitnecker for the foresight that he showed in giving us this opportunity to try to achieve justice. I just want to say that on behalf of the state's attorney's office, we're very excited about this opportunity, and with the resources that are now being dedicated, we've been working on these things on a case-by-case basis with the cold case part of the police department, trying to provide our guidance in what can and cannot be done. This was going to make those efforts much greater, and hopefully will be very successful. Thank you. And I don't have anybody to turn it over to.
You can turn it back over to me.
Okay.
Indeed, Cheryl, I want to thank and acknowledge you publicly for your leadership as chair of our work group. So thank you for your leadership. I know we've also been joined by Ms. Hackerman's also here. Yeah, Ms. Hackerman Nancy is also here today. So Nancy Hackerman, thank you for your leadership and generosity in helping to move these conversations and this day along. I know we've also been joined by Councilman Pat Young, Delegate Scott Phillips. As has been mentioned, this has been a partnership. If we have questions, we're happy to take those at this time.
I have a question.